What if one of the most powerful stories ever told left no clear trace behind, no confirmed Egyptian record, no undeniable archaeological proof, no mass graves, no inscriptions celebrating a dramatic escape, and yet the Exodus remains one of the most influential narratives in human history? Did it really happen? Or is it a story shaped by memory, faith, and identity? Today we explore the Exodus, not just as a religious story, but as a historical mystery that continues to divide scholars, theologians, and archaeologists. If you enjoy deep dives into biblical history and the intersection of faith and evidence, make sure to follow and subscribe. Let's begin. The story that shaped civilizations. The Exodus tells of Moses leading the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. Plagues devastate Egypt. Pharaoh refuses to release the slaves. The sea parts. An entire people walk to freedom. For Judaism, this is the defining story of identity. For Christianity, it foreshadows redemption. For Islam, it is a powerful act of divine deliverance. The Exodus is not a minor event in Scripture. It is foundational, which makes one question even more urgent. Where is the evidence? The archaeological silence. For decades, archaeologists have searched the Sinai Peninsula, the region where the Israelites are said to have wandered for 40 years. Excavations have been extensive, but there is no clear evidence of a massive migrating population from that period. No large encampments, no burial sites matching the scale described in the biblical account. This absence has led many scholars to question whether the Exodus occurred as described. However, others caution against jumping to conclusions. Nomadic groups often leave minimal traces. Desert conditions can erase evidence over time. Shifting sands and millennia of erosion complicate the archaeological record. Absence of evidence is not necessarily evidence of absence, but the silence is notable. Egyptian records and the missing disaster. Ancient Egypt was meticulous in record-keeping. Royal decrees, harvest yields, military victories, building projects, diplomatic letters, all documented. Yet there is no clear Egyptian account of catastrophic plagues or a massive slave uprising. The Amarna letters, diplomatic correspondences from the 14th century BCE, discuss regional instability, but do not describe anything resembling a dramatic exodus. The Merneptah Stele, dated around 1207 BCE, mentions Israel as a people group in Canaan, but it says nothing about a departure from Egypt. This gap raises difficult questions. Would Egypt record a humiliating defeat, or would such an event be omitted intentionally? Ancient rulers were not known for documenting their failures. Pi-Ramesses and historical anchors. The Bible mentions the city of Pi-Ramesses as a starting point of the Exodus. Archaeological excavations confirm that Pi-Ramesses was indeed a thriving Egyptian city during the New Kingdom period. This suggests the biblical narrative contains real geographical memory. But were the laborers there Hebrews? Some scholars point to evidence of Semitic populations living in the Nile Delta. Others argue there is no proof linking them specifically to the Israelites of Scripture. The debate continues. Linguistic clues language provides another fascinating layer. The name Moses has Egyptian linguistic roots. It appears in names like Thutmose and Rameses, meaning born of or son of. This could indicate cultural interaction between Hebrews and Egyptians. Another example is the Hebrew phrase Yam Suf. Traditionally translated as Red Sea, some scholars argue it means Sea of Reeds. This would suggest a marshy body of water rather than the deep Red Sea. Such reinterpretations reshape how the crossing might have occurred. Language opens possibilities, but it does not settle the debate. A smaller exodus? Some historians propose a middle ground. Instead of a massive migration of hundreds of thousands, perhaps a smaller group left Egypt. Over generations, their story could have expanded into a grand national epic. Collective memory often magnifies events. Oral traditions can elevate historical kernels into defining myths. In this view, the Exodus is not fabricated, it is amplified. Myth, memory, and identity. Others take a more symbolic approach. They argue the Exodus functions primarily as a theological narrative, a story crafted to express liberation, covenant, and divine justice. Ancient cultures frequently told origin stories that blended memory with meaning. In this interpretation, historical precision may not have been the primary goal. The message was freedom, deliverance, identity. The Exodus becomes less about proving a timeline and more about shaping a people. Why this debate matters. This is not just an academic argument. The Exodus shapes religious identity. It influences moral frameworks about freedom and oppression. It underpins centuries of theology and culture. If it happened exactly as written, it stands as one of history's most dramatic divine interventions. If it is symbolic, it remains one of humanity's most powerful liberation narratives. Either way, its impact is undeniable. The tension between faith and evidence archaeology seeks material proof. Faith seeks meaning and trust. Sometimes they align beautifully. Sometimes they remain in tension. The search for Exodus evidence mirrors larger questions about how we interpret ancient texts. Should they be read as literal history, theological narrative, a blend of both? As technology advances, new discoveries may emerge. Ground-penetrating radar, satellite imaging, and refined dating methods continue to reshape archaeology. The story is not finished. Final reflection. So did the Exodus really happen? The honest answer is this. We do not have definitive proof confirming the full biblical account as described. We also do not have definitive proof disproving it, and we have fragments, clues, linguistic overlaps, archaeological gaps, competing interpretations. What we do know is that the Exodus story has shaped civilizations, inspired revolutions, and defined identities for over 3,000 years. Perhaps its power lies not only in whether it happened, but in what it continues to mean. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Exodus was a literal historical event, a smaller migration that grew into legend, or a powerful theological story shaped by collective memory? Comment below and share your thoughts. And if this deep dive helped you see the Exodus in a new light, make sure to follow and subscribe for more explorations into biblical mysteries and ancient history. Until next time.